Hello, hello, and the doc is in. Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different on the channel. We're going to be talking about having a little bit of discussion. Still anime related though, where we haven't gotten to commentary levels yet, but we're getting there. We're waiting for the next big drama to come up. But for now, we're going to be talking about Demon Slayer, because we've been doing a lot of Demon Slayer on the channel because of season 2. And with season 2 coming to a close, I think this is a great time to talk about a topic that I see come up here and there in the Demon Slayer community. Who is stronger, Rengoku or Tengen? Generally, I think the consensus is that Rengoku is stronger, and I also agree. I think the correct opinion is that Rengoku is just objectively the stronger Hashira. And that's also in fact because Tengen literally says that Rengoku is the better Hashira. But what I'm going to discuss isn't, why is Rengoku stronger? But more so, why is Tengen closer to Rengoku than he lets himself believe that he is? Because obviously, you have to be a certain caliber to become a Hashira anyway. And obviously, Tengen's shown himself to actually be upon that caliber. But I feel like he still doesn't give himself, at least in his inner monologue, he doesn't give himself as much credit as he in fact deserves. So it's going to be a little bit of Tengen hype. I wouldn't say Rengoku downplay, because that's a little rude, because like I said, I just said he is stronger than Tengen. That's just a fact. But basically, I'm just going to do a little bit of my own thoughts on the debate, a little bit of thoughts about their showings, their big fights, and so on. I am not a power scaler. There will be no numbers in this video. So if you thought that I'm gonna guy who's gonna like really break it down, do the calcs and everything, no, I'm not doing that. I am a doctor. The best I can do for you is do a little bit of analysis and give you drugs that will get you addicted and get a nice check from a pharmaceutical company. That's the best I could do for you. So if you don't want the drugs, just sit here for the analysis. Alright, hopping right into it, let's look first at Rengoku. So, actually, before we look at Rengoku, let's look first at Akaza. Akaza is the upper rank 3 demon. That is technically 2 ranks, because you say number 5 and number 4, then Akaza, above Gyutaro and Daki, but 3. Point is, he's well above Gyutaro and Daki, and obviously in a showing against Rengoku is very, very strong. This is where the part comes in. Mid to low diff Rengoku. I feel like a lot of people coming out of the movie were really hyped to see Rengoku. You know, he died and everything. Also, I'm assuming you watched the movie. I mean, it's been a while. So, continuing on. Rengoku died and everything. Everybody's like, oh, you know, it's so sad. Rengoku was such a cool guy. Why did he have to go so soon? So on and so forth. And he had this great showing against, he had a really good showing against Akaza. It may have left some people with the impression that, he almost killed Akaza. No, he didn't. If we look at Akaza's mannerisms throughout the entire fight, he was not taking that thing serious pretty much at all until maybe the very end, where he was gonna get caught in the sunlight. That's the only time I would say he was genuinely like serious about like the actions he was taking. Everything else, he was, yes, of course he was gonna kill everybody there and whatnot, but it was pretty clear based on his demeanor that he wasn't really taking Rengoku serious as like an opponent on his level. He was kind of like I would think of it as like LeBron going against a college basketball player. He's like, I'm clearly above you, so I'm like playing, but I'm not like taking it serious. It's like when you play video games, but you're sitting, like you're just lounging, and then like either you sit up or like you stand up when you play. Like there's a certain amount of like effort you're putting in when you're standing or sitting up versus when you're just laying back, kind of just going through the motions, pressing buttons. I think the fight between Akaza and Rengoku is more akin to Akaza sitting back, kind of chilling, just going through the motions. He's not really trying too hard the majority of the fight. He was more so kind of like checking out Rengoku, seeing his prospects, trying to convince him to come onto the demon side or whatnot. And you can see that throughout the fight, he's constantly trying to convince Rengoku that, oh, you know, it'd be a real waste for all these skills you got to go out of business once you die. You know, you're gonna get slow and old. You know, you could become a demon, you become immortal, you get stronger too. Just saying. And Rengoku's like, no. And then you see Akaza get a couple of hits off and whatnot. And on those hits, yes, of course, Rengoku was blocking them. Obviously, he was still fighting the entire time. So Akaza didn't have like a clean shot. But Akaza, when he got serious, was able to literally shove his fist through Rengoku's abdomen. Alright? And then, when Rengoku was holding him, when he got desperate enough, he literally tore his own arms off to get away from Rengoku. Now, given that's a credit to Rengoku, that's fairly strong, is able to overpower a demon's physical strength, especially an upper rank 3 demon's physical strength, with just his own brute strength for a little bit. But is also indicative of the fact that if Akaza was really swinging for the fences, right, really throwing those bungalows, those real haymakers here from the very jump, Rengoku probably would have sustained way worse damage earlier on in the fight. It was only at the end that Akaza basically kind of like let go of trying to make Rengoku become a demon more. It's important to say this because it's not a downplay for Rengoku, because it's still a feat to be able to stand up against upper rank 3 at all. But it is to say that Rengoku and Akaza are not on the same level. Rengoku is, I would feel like, well, we obviously haven't seen rank 4 or 5, but I would definitely say he's comfortably definitely a 5 and or a 4 minus level Hashira. Like I said, we haven't seen them yet, but he's definitely strong enough that if he was fighting like Gyutaro and Daki, he would definitely have a pretty good time against them as well. But going into Daki and Gyutaro, they kind of have a little bit of hacks. And this is where we go into Tengen, where I would say Tengen is really strong. But he's obviously not physically stronger than Rengoku. Rengoku literally overpowered a upper rank 3 demon who fights with his hands. He overpowered him for a little bit, not for a very long time, but he overpowered him. So that's a physical feat that I don't think many others will surpass throughout going forward in the anime. Also, I know I didn't mention this earlier, but we're not going to be talking about manga stuff. If we talk about manga stuff, it makes it like... a lot of people know the anime and the movie, so we're just going to stick with the anime. Alright? Don't worry about it. And going back to what I was talking about a second ago, Rengoku is physically very strong, and so is Tengen in his own right. But I think a lot of Tengen's strengths lie in his unorthodox way of fighting. The fact that he's a ninja fighting like a ninja to beat demons, rather than fighting like a samurai, or in this case a demon slayer, as a part of the demon slayer corps. This is also mentioned by Gyutaro, because as they're going through the fight, he's using unorthodox methods to handle them. He's using the bombs, he's using kunai with wisteria on them, he has a weird sword, weird dual sword, nunchuck type sword thing going on, so on and so forth. He fights in a way that is different from slayers, from most slayers. So a lot of his strengths don't lie in the same strengths we would identify with someone like Gyu or Rengoku. Shinobu's also unorthodox in the same sense, so maybe not her, but all the other Hashira. So I feel like it is unfair for people to be like, oh well, Rengoku overpowered Akaza with his bare strength. I don't know if Tengen could do that. Well, yeah, probably not. I mean, maybe he might be able to do like a little something, but probably not. But on the other hand, would Akaza be able to? How would Akaza react to dealing with the demon bombs? How would Akaza react to the Wisteria Kunai? Etc. etc. And of course, again, I'm not saying Tengen could beat Akaza or anything like that, but I'm just saying because he fights in an unorthodox method, being like apples to apples isn't really fair because it's more like apples. I would say apples to oranges. They're both fruit. They're both slayers. They both use swords to fight and everything. But Rengoku's a physical powerhouse and basically the pinnacle of like a slayer coming from down the generation, so to speak. Versus Tengen, he has his own breathing style. He has a bunch of tools that he uses to fight. He has a lot of skills that go along with being a ninja that don't necessarily directly correlate into like physical strength or anything like that. Those types of things are Tengen's strength. So though, yes, in the traditional sense, he is below Rengoku, he definitely has a lot of strengths that Rengoku simply does not have that he himself has. Because for example, going into, now that we've kind of compared them a little bit, going into the idea of like Rengoku facing off against Daki and Gyutaro, I would say, if we're saying no poison, and he's just fighting Daki and Gyutaro, Rengoku has a pretty good chance of beating them. I would say he'd probably have a bit of an easier time taking down Gyutaro and Daki. He's physically stronger, he has a lot of skill, he's been doing this for a long time, so on and so forth. He's probably gonna have an easier time taking down Gyutaro and Daki. But with poison, we say in the beginning of the fight, just like Tengen, he gets cut once and the poison's going. I don't know how long Rengoku will last, because a big part of the reason why Tengen has such a bad showing throughout this fight is because from the very jump he was poisoned. Notice he was able to take out Daki instantly without even really putting out too much effort into it. He took Daki out of the fight immediately. Now given Daki's a lot weaker than Gyutaro, and Daki just doesn't have the same kill factor as Gyutaro, so on and so forth, and obviously they're a tag team, so them together is like a different level of stuff. But even then, Tengen was able to fight against Daki and Gyutaro for a little bit on his own while being poisoned. And him being Daki on his own effectively is definitely a testament to the fact that Tengen is pretty strong, and at full HP, full health, full MP, all the stuffs, he would probably also be able to beat Gyutaro and Daki. I wouldn't say nearly as easy as Rengoku if there was no poison. He probably wouldn't beat them nearly as easy as Rengoku, but he would definitely still be able to beat them, and he might even come out of that fight probably still injured, but he probably would come out of that fight, I believe, with a good chance of still being able to even be a Slayer. Now, given would he stay? Probably not, but my point is, Tengen being poisoned throughout pretty much the entire fight is a big factor in how the fight turns out. He's basically dying the entire time. It is only able to sustain for as long as he did throughout the fight because he's a ninja and has poison resistance, and he's able to stop his heart and stop the poison for a little bit before he gets re-poisoned. Also, the reason why I say that is because he's poisoned in the beginning, he stops his heart, and then the poison stops. I think that's why when he gets up, he's like pretty much not full strength, but he's like, he comes back and he's like doing all this crazy stuff. It's like, wait, hold on, aren't you poisoned? But by stopping his heart, he stops circulation, basically, I wouldn't say nullifying it, but basically it's like slowing down the poison. And then he gets stabbed again, and that's why at the very end of episode 11, at the beginning of episode 11, whatever, he's poisoned again. He's like getting really super sick. So I feel like, once again, this just gives more credit to the idea that Tengen, yes, is probably not as strong as Rengoku, and may not be as technically savvy as Rengoku or anything like that, but Tengen was, I wouldn't say the perfect match for Gyutaro and Daki, but he was probably the one best suited, based on what we've seen of the Hashira so far, the one best suited to fight Gyutaro and Daki, being able to handle the poison, being able to mix the bombs into his attacks to really like disperse the two, using his unorthodox fighting methods to like keep Gyutaro and Daki on their toes. His fight was full of him having disadvantages upon disadvantages, but him persevering because he is a ninja and because his tools and the tools in his tool bag are different from the average Slayer. So with that being said, that is why I believe that Tengen is way closer to Rengoku than most people believe. But that's just my opinion. Like I said, obviously Rengoku's definitely stronger than Tengen. He's definitely significantly stronger than Tengen. I would still definitely say that if Rengoku fought Gyutaro and Daki on his own, or like at least had like his section of the fight where he fought them straight, he probably would be able to cut off Gyutaro's head. He wouldn't have any problems about that. Maybe he might struggle with catching them both at the same time. Well, Gyutaro and Daki to be clear. But he would definitely be able to do it, and especially with Tanjiro and Inosuke, if put in the same situation, Rengoku would probably definitely be able to get both of them with a lot less loss by the end of it. But would he be able to survive the poison nearly as long as Tengen did? I say no. I feel like it's only fair to say that people who have some type of poison resistance are the only people who would be able to last as long as Inosuke and Tengen did with having had the poison. But this is just my opinion. Don't have to take it as fact. I just want to put some things out in the air and whatnot. Anyway, thank you for watching the video. If you like, leave a like. If you dislike, leave a dislike. Leave a comment if you want. Subscribe. Just throwing that out there, you know. Just throwing that out there. I don't think anybody's going to subscribe, but if you will, thank you. I'll be gracious. Grateful. Anyway, thank you for watching. The doc is out.